Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sitting behind me is my 1993 Toyota MR2 that I have put a 2GR V6 into. Did a full documentation of that process over the a little over a year ago. Was about a 6-month job getting that taken care of. But what I want to do in this video is a little check-in and tear down on the car. I drove it all last year for multiple car shows, put a few hundred miles on it easily. Had a blast with it, and now it's just kind of been sitting all winter on a charger. And what I'd like to do is get it up in the air, pull the wheels off, check everything out, clean it up, get it ready for a new show season. Plus, I have a few things that I want to do as far as replacing some seals on the T-tops. I have a new glove box for it, and some other cleanup little things. And I did notice that there was a little bit of oil or grease dripping from the back, which I think is coming from one of the axle boots. So that being said, I'd like to work on this car in this video, kind of also do just a little retrospective or update on my thoughts and everything as far as the V6 swap goes, what I think of it, how much I enjoy it, what I'd change, what might be coming in the future, things along those lines. So that being said, we get the camera flipped around and get to work on the MR2. Got the car up on jack stands, wheels off. So it's time to start kind of going over things. I'm going to do a little inspection for the season, get things ready. This car has been pretty much sitting since like last November, whenever I put it away after the last car show I took it to. I've run it a few times, but it's really just been sitting here in the garage, waiting through the winter. So all things considered, it's looking pretty good. Just have to dust it off and do some cleanup and change the oil, a few other things, and should be good to go for the season. So, but really what I wanted to do in this video was kind of a 1-year review based on the 2GR swap. There's some people that like it, some people that want to stick with the turbo. Little background on this car. This was originally a naturally aspirated car. When I bought it used about 4 or 5 years ago. It had a Rev 3 turbo swap done to it. At that time, the person did all the brakes, front and rear, off of the Rev 3 turbo as well. So suspension is all Rev 3 turbo, brakes are Rev 3 turbo, and then it had that drivetrain with the E153. About a year ago, if you follow my channel, you would have seen after I got this thing back from being completely repainted and all the body work done, I went ahead and pulled out the Rev 3 engine and installed a 2GR. The 2GR I have is out of a 2011 Sienna. I did it using the Frankenstein swap components, all the mounts, his ECU, the intake from Wilhelm, fuel system from Wilhelm. I have the original tubular style Frankenstein headers with a Wilhelm crossover pipe with a small cat welded into it by Wilhelm. And then I have a Burke turbo exhaust on it, Fidanza flywheel, ACT puck clutch. The ECU is the Frankenstein tuned Sienna ECU. Sienna wiring harness, we're using a Paul Woods splice harness that he offers. So pretty straightforward swap. There's plenty of videos on this channel if you want to see how it went, how I did it. I have it all detailed and broken out. It will really walk you through the process if you're interested. So that being said, kind of want to get into the swap itself, likes, dislikes, things along those lines. So as far as this drivetrain goes, the sound of the 2GR is absolutely amazing, and that alone, in my opinion, makes the swap worth it. Here's a couple clips, one of it just revving at idle, and one is a third gear pull going over.
One more time.
As you can hear, it sounds amazing. The first clip you heard, everybody that was standing around it, it amazes people when I take this thing to a car show. First off, they look and see that engine sitting in the engine bay, and just like, wow, they're amazed how well it fits, how right it looks, and then when they hear it run, they're like, they can't believe how great it sounds. So the engine is totally worth it to install in this car. As far as the drivability versus the turbo, night and day difference. And again, 2GR wins hands down. The turbo drivetrain I had in this, like I said, it was a Rev 3. It had basically all the bolt-ons, and the boost was turned up to like 16 and a half pounds, if I remember correctly. But it had upgraded, intercooler, piping, intake, downpipe, catless, and then the Burke exhaust. I mean, and it was really laggy. I mean, don't get me wrong, when it hit hard, but dead stop, rolling away, it was like, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Oh, there it is. Once it finally hit like 3,500, 4,000 RPM, then you would finally actually get some power. Up until that point, it had nothing. Whereas this, I mean, you just blip it, pull away, and it's so drivable with the V6. Totally worth it having that low end. And it does scream all the way to redline. I mean, this car pulls hard from start to finish. It's a lighter weight car, and the engine's got a great power band with the Frankenstein tune. I have no complaints whatsoever as far as the way it runs, the drivability. I have fully functioning air conditioning. It doesn't smell when it runs, whereas the turbo was catless, and this thing stunk up my garage almost as bad as my Cobra does, which is catless and side pipes. This thing, I can let it run, and you don't smell it with a small cat. It runs much more efficient. Great on gas, which I know not everybody watching this cares about that. But yeah, it's just a very drivable, very usable, so far very reliable platform. So that right there, a bunch of wins over the turbo. It's not, you don't have to worry about being stressed. I mean, you can still upgrade it. There's more and more stuff coming out daily as far as intakes and cams and things like that. And there's even turbo kits for it if you want to go really hardcore. In my opinion, there's no choice other than the 2GR for these cars if you want to get the most out of it. I know the purists will say stick with the turbo because that's what it came with, and if that is your cup of tea, more power to you. To me, this was originally a non-turbo. It was already hacked up when I got it, so I really don't care what I put in it. That's never going to be worth as much as an original turbo. So it's a good platform for me to just go to town on and have fun. And again, with the 2GR, no complaints whatsoever as far as drivability, power, performance, and just the overall enjoyment of the car. It puts a smile on my face every time I drive it. With the 2GR, I mean, I say that everything's wonderful, wouldn't change anything, and that's the engine I would want, and I do stand by that. One thing that does bug me a little bit with it, and it's not so much the engine, it's the transmission. I'm running, the Rev 3 E153 that was in the car. It's gearing mixed with the 2GR, being it's a 5-speed, it's probably a little off as far as how the gear is. Little tightly wound. This thing on the highway cruising like 70 to 75. It's screaming well over 3,000 RPMs. It could do for a 6th gear. That's basically the best way to describe it. The gearing's very short when you're revving through it. You hit 5th gear before you know it if you're really winding this thing out on a drag strip, we'll say. It pulls. You're shifting, and it's like, wow, that 4th to 5th gear, it comes on real fast. There's a good drop off from 4th to 5th, but it's still 5th is a little higher than you would want it for just cruise. This thing would do very well, I think, with a 6-speed, which I know you're pretty limited on options out there from Toyota as far as 6-speed manuals, but I really think that would be the prime way to go. To have a 5th that's a little closer to 4th, and then a 6th that was a good overdrive, just to make it a more cruisable car. Don't know if that's something I would ever look into because, like I said, it's not bad. It's totally tolerable, and it's still so much fun. But it probably would do well with the 6-speed gearbox if you could find something out there and make it fit. I mean, I think the Lotuses have a 6-speed and they use the 2GR, so I'm sure it's possible and stuff's out there. You could make it work if you spent the money on it. That really, in my opinion, is the only drawback. I mean, with the turbo brakes, things still stops great. I have no problems with those. I still might upgrade them down the road just to, get some lighter weight on it. That's the big thing I'm doing with this car. I really don't plan on turboing it. I may do a little bit of intake mods as far as some of the Wilhelm stuff that's out, or the Frankenstein stuff that's coming out there. I like the way some of his stuff looks and the sounds versus the plastic intake manifold from the Sienna. But other than that, it's going to be kind of added lightness philosophy as far as, going through the brakes, losing some weight there, so some suspension weight, things along those lines. But yeah, I mean, it's really been very reliable since the swap's been done. It's been a great cruiser. It gets a ton of attention at car shows. I really have no major complaints. The gearing's the only thing that's a little bit of a bummer, and along with that, it's also the hard shifting of an E153. But if you have a Toyota MR2 with an E153 or any other car with that transmission, you know what I'm talking about. It's not the fastest shifting transmission that's out there. So that is kind of my overview review of this car 1 year in. I really have no complaints. It's been good. It's run strong. It's a showstopper. It really is. The compliments, I can't say it enough how many compliments I get on this car when I take it to a car show. It's, oh my God, I haven't seen one of those in years. They all rotted out, or they all got wrapped around trees, or blah, 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 blah. They see it and people flock to it. It gets a ton of attention, and it's not just from import guys. It is from muscle car guys, classic car guys. It's amazing the amount of people that have interest in this car. It truly is. With that, I think I am going to bring this one to a close. Like I said, I just wanted to do a quick little overview review 1 year in after driving my 2GR MR2. I'm going to have some videos upcoming on this one because, like I said, I have to go through it, clean it up. I have a few little minor things I need to do. I do have new T-top seals, so I'm going to walk through that install. New glove box I need to install, or used glove box. It's better than the one that I have that I need to install. I'll do some cleanup on the car, go through it corner by corner. I need to crawl underneath. At one point in time last year, I noticed a drop underneath where the axle goes into the transmission on the passenger side. I think that was just a little grease seepage through the boot because this thing's been sitting for, like I said, almost 6 months. I looked under it and I don't see a single drop under the car. And then there's some cleanup in the engine bay. I think I might pull this plastic intake top off, and you can see there's a scratch in it. It's had that since I got it. I'm guessing that's from the Sienna accident that it was involved in. So I might try and polish that up, clean that, see if I can make that intake look a little bit better. And just kind of go through, clean up some of the lines in the engine bay. And yeah, just, get this thing ready because car show season is coming very soon. So if you want to follow along, see what I end up doing with the car, see how it turns out, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. If you have any questions or comments about anything, leave them in the comment section. I do review them. I will reply. That being said, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.